Hello and welcome to the Continuing the Focus podcast. It is here that we touch on subjects on empowering the patient experience. I'm your host, Kwame Agyemang, one of the patient experience consultants here at PGP. And I am definitely and truly happy and honored to have a special guest with us today. We have Dr. Karla Schroeder. Dr. Karla Schroeder is the Associate Chief Nursing Officer here at Emory. Dr. Schroeder is also an instructor at the California State University Institute for Palliative Care. Where she teaches advanced practice palliative nursing certification courses. And she has 25 years of experience in nursing with expertise in leadership and palliative end of life care. Dr. Schroeder is also a Caritas coach who strives for intentionally restoring and sustaining human kindness and caring while deepening the sense of shared humanity in our systems and society. Well, it is definitely an honor to have Dr. Schroeder here on this topic. And the topic for continuing the focus today is becoming a better you, showing up as your best self. We believe that in empowering the patient experience, we as staff, as healthcare professionals, we also need to be empowered for that to overflow in our empowering the continual patient experience. So for episode 2, Dr. Schroeder, we are definitely happy to have you here. How are you today?
I'm great. Thank you so much. And thanks for having me. Appreciate the opportunity.
Awesome, no, and we appreciate you and all that you do. And we want to go ahead and just dive into it.
Sure.
So, number one, I was just curious as I was reading some of your background here. What
Mhm.
is it exactly as your role as a Caritas coach?
Yeah, great. Thank you for asking me this question. And a lot of people wonder, what is a Caritas coach? And so let me first explain a little bit about what Caritas caring science theory is, which is where the Caritas coach actually comes from. And that is a theory of human caring and kindness, which Dr. Jean Watson instituted many, many years ago in the early 70s, and it has grown and expanded over the years. And the theory of human caring focuses truly on the holistic care of a person, the environment, and blends both the art and the science of professional nursing together to create this holistic whole person care. And so caring science does embrace the values and the practices of things like loving kindness and to truly treat yourself as well as others with that loving kindness. And so, more about my role as a Caritas coach. I am personally and professionally truly committed to deepening and sustaining our shared humanity and really preserving human kindness, caring, and compassion, as well as the dignity for each unique individual and supporting each person as a unique individual. And then supporting myself and other professional practice that really encompasses and validates not just kindness, but actual love and gratitude and compassion for each other and ourselves. And that really includes things like building trusting relationships and understanding and accountability, and really holding true to the purpose and the meaning in my work and my life.
Wow. So we have the perfect person for this episode. Thank you. That's great. So you see my sign here. Work hard and be nice. So
Yes,
you
yes.
mentioned kindness. Like that's definitely foundational for sure, and the wholeness as a
Mhm.
person and treating others in that way. That's wow. That's awesome. So we're gonna have a great conversation.
Yeah.
So when you think about work and the phrase "show up as your best self,"
Mhm.
what general ideas come to mind?
Yeah. So first, I want to say, we in healthcare, we truly have the ability to impact others around us. And we really honestly never know how we're going to impact that other person. And so showing up as our best self, I think about, how can I make sure that I impact that other person in the way that I intend, right? In a positive manner. And so when I think of showing up as my best self, I think about what it means to me to not only show up and do what I need to do, what is expected of me in the best way possible, but really, what is it that makes me feel good to do it, right? What is it that brings me joy in professional practice? What provides me purpose and meaning in the work that I do? How is it that I can impact that other individual in a positive way? And I think people feel like I still have some kind of idealistic viewpoint where I feel like we as healthcare professionals truly do have an opportunity to make a situation better for that other person. Maybe I can't change the situation, but I can have a positive impact. So I try to think about, in the back of my mind, life is short, right? Nothing is guaranteed, thus my palliative care and end of life background. And how can I make some kind of positive contribution to the world today? And what does that mean when I show up as my best self? So I try to remember that as a leader, I'm definitely a role model, and the actions that I take, the way that I respond, the things that I do, those examples set and display examples for others. So to me, showing up as my best self means really encompassing my goals, my values, and my ability to be able to positively contribute to the work of the day.
That's great. That's great. So what I'm hearing within that self-examination probably, and okay, that's good. That's good. So, and I've worked alongside some people in past years or whatnot who have struggled with some of those ideas where they think, okay, it's just, I hear what you're saying, be positive, but examine myself, blase, but I'm struggling with that. What are some practical tips for those who may struggle with the idea of showing up as your best self?
Mm-hmm. And this is a fantastic question that many of us are grappling with today as we, have moved through some of the most difficult times in our history. And so I think one of the first things that I say is, like, don't sweat the small stuff, right? As I said, life is not guaranteed, right? Tomorrow is not promised. But what I've realized is people get really upset about things that they can't change and they can't control. And so my tip is to breathe. And it's one of the easiest things that we can do to help ourselves. It sounds so simple, yet it really takes truly intentional action. So take a deep breath, pause, breathe, and then breathe again. And then decide how you want to react to whatever situation you're in, right? Stress doesn't give us the permission to act in a way that's unprofessional or unbecoming or how we wouldn't want to present ourselves. So as you congeal your response to whatever situation you're in, hold true to your values and hold true to who you are. And again, I'm going to say pause, breathe, and then move forward with whatever your response is. That would be one thing. The other thing that I talk a lot about is sleep, rest, and disconnection, right? And so I want people to think about how on we are all the time, like all the time answering email, all the time on social media. We have all of this influx of activity almost continuously. And so there's no way that we can show up as our best selves if we don't sleep, if we don't eat, right? If we don't allow ourselves to rest and disconnect. So create a good sleep routine and then actually follow through with it. Make it a priority for yourself. Allow yourself time to be away from work, away from school, media, electronics, whatever things drain you or, that you need to disconnect from. Just give yourself the permission to be able to disconnect from those things. And again, make that very intentional as you do it.
That's great. That's great. And the breathing point that you made. So I have two little ones, and I often find myself taking a little time to breathe.
Mm-hmm.
And it's helpful. And even here at work at times when I find myself, okay, I'm trying to brainstorm or, there's this assignment that I need to produce. And so instead of just trying to do it and tense up, just take time to breathe in through my nose and exhale. And it is simple. It sounds simple, but it's profound for sure.
It is. And people don't realize that The ability to just take a breath does a lot of physiological things within our body, but sometimes we just need a break, right? That constant connection is fatiguing. And so we need the rest, we need to recharge. You know what? Do something fun, relax, and laugh. Just laugh a little, right?
That's good. That's good. That's good. And I'll have another question, maybe towards the end. But
Mhm.
I do have another question for you. So, what are some warning signs that team members can look at or be on the lookout for as it relates to job burnout?
Yeah, and this is really a scary thing to think about. And I know we've seen a lot of burnout and fatigue over the last year. So there are a lot of warning signs that are out there that we and our teammates really need to be on the watch for. So things like cynicism,
Mm,
irritability, lashing out, difficulty concentrating, or completing normal tasks or duties in a timely manner that you were once able to do. You feel like you don't want to go to work, so you know have multiple call-ins going on, or even things like isolating from teammates. All of these can lead to things like cynicism. Or even as far as risky behaviors such as drug and alcohol abuse, and then it can lead to healthcare problems. When you read the definition of burnout, one of the scariest things that has stuck in my head is the inability to show empathy or compassion for another.
mm,
And when you hit that point, which is cynicism, right? When you hit the point that you can't empathize with another individual in healthcare that is in crisis, that is a terrifying thought to me. So it is truly important that not only do we watch for signs of, emotional fatigue, compassion fatigue, and burnout, but that we're able to say, hey, you know what? I need to step back for a minute. I'm noticing these things in myself. So really giving ourselves permission and giving others permission to acknowledge those warning signs and to ensure that we have an environment of trust, which allows us to support the people and says, you know what, it's okay to use those resources to combat burnout. Not only is it okay, I encourage you to use the resources that combat burnout and other fatigue.
as it relates to support systems, are there any accessible services here at Emory that are in place to assist team members, staff, with when it comes to resilience and assist with countering work burnout?
Yeah, absolutely. So actually here at Emory, we are incredibly lucky. We have a multitude of resources, not just at Emory, but actually in the healthcare community as a large. A quick Google search can bring up some of that for you. But if you look at um, Healthy Emory, it's one of our incredible resources that we have here. I highly recommend the platform. It's super easy to use. It provides things like daily wellness tips. You can track things that are healthy responses. Like, for example, on my app, I have you started your day off with a drink of water today, right? And so healthy practices that you can incorporate quite practically into your day. And it just helps as a reminder to get you through. But not only does Healthy Emory have some of that daily stuff in there, there are all kinds of courses and links within the app that support ongoing learning, advancement in your learning around health and wellness and resiliency. It connects to all kinds of other activities that can help you combat burnout. So absolutely an excellent and very simple resource to use. And at Emory, we have an access to a host of all kinds of other things. So I would encourage people to go to the main Emory intranet page. And then if you go to the top right-hand corner with Emory resources and just open that up, and you can see a whole host of all kinds of offerings for support, engagement, learning, EAP, mental health resources, all kinds of stuff available to us at Emory.
Okay, and lastly, are there any helpful books or resources that come to mind on the subject of resilience and tips to counter work burnout?
Yeah, absolutely. So if you look online, of course, you can see lots of books, articles, apps, and other resources that are out there. My suggestion is actually to find something that speaks to you, try new things that you might not normally read. You never know what might have a positive effect on you or somebody else. Don't box yourself in. So a couple of things that I personally really enjoy. One of the books that I keep open on my desk is called Moral Resilience:
Mhm.
Transforming Moral Suffering in Healthcare, and it's by Cynthia Rushton. For this book, it has a lot of practical application. It particularly speaks to me in what we do in healthcare, what we see, what we experience. and it allows us to work through the work that we do every day. A really enjoyable book that I would recommend is called Happiness is a Choice You Make. It's Lessons from a Year Amongst the Oldest of the Old by John Leand. It's actually a super interesting book, and it's a fun read. And it really listens to and provides stories from people who have lived life that were greater than 85 years old.
Wow.
And then the last, it's a really great book. And like I said, a fun read. And then the last thing I just want to mention, Dr. Watson and the Caritas Science Theory. There's a lot of books out there and venues in which to study Watson's theory. So it's not a single book read. It's more of an adventure into learning. It definitely takes a commitment to be able to understand the work. When I initially picked up the theory, it felt like reading Shakespeare or something that was really, really difficult to understand. So it took several times reading it over and other Caritas leaders to really understand the work. But I had the opportunity to train with Dr. Watson and become a Caritas coach through the program. And so the theory and the reading began to congeal and make sense, which is really what holds me true to all of my personal and professional beliefs and that holistic practice that we talked about, which really provides me with that true meaning and purpose in the work that I do.
So Dr. Schroeder, again, thank you very much for joining in on the Continuing the Focus podcast. I'm empowered from our conversation, and I'm empowered to continue empowering the patient experience. So thank you again for coming on.
Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. So for everyone, just be sure that you also can check out episode 1. The link will be in the description as well. So many things for us to think about and to reflect on from here from Dr. Schroeder today. So I hope that you are encouraged, and I hope that you will continue the focus. Bye-bye.